Namaskar. My master has coined a new phrase which is applicable in this 21st century for the social outlook of humanity. He calls it Neohumanism. And it's composed of two words. Neo, meaning new, and humanism was a philosophy propagated in the 12th century which places humans at the center of all life. So neo-humanism in brief is the practice of love for all living beings. And so it extends to animals, plants, and even inanimate beings. And it has been embraced, this concept, by saints and sages throughout history. Maybe the most famous one we know in the West is St. Francis of Assisi, a lover of animals and plants. And another way of saying neo-humanism is universalism, because its outlook is 360 degrees, and nobody is excluded in its social outlook. So as human beings, we're one of billions of species that inhabit our Earth, and we are like the elder brothers or the stewards of all of the different beings that we share this home Earth with. But as we know, unfortunately, we are not doing our job very well nowadays. And when we're not caring for the created beings created by the Creator, the more we neglect them, the more we are digging our own graves. And we're seeing manifestations of this with recent developments in flash floods or uncontrollable forest fires, rising temperatures, which to a greater extent are we as human beings are responsible for these phenomena in nature today. So through the practice of meditation, we become more sensitive to the connectedness and unity of all life. And we realize that, some people even have mystical experiences with nature. That's how they begin their spiritual journey. My Dada colleague, he shared with me that when he was a young adult going through his spiritual awakening, he would feel when a tree branch broke, he would feel like his own arm has broken. And so in this way, we have this interconnectedness with nature and even plants. Now, it seems that we can measure the feelings of plants. They have emotions. When different sensitive electrodes are placed on plants' leaves, they manifest certain emotions, either when an angry person enters the room or when a loving person enters the room. And so in this way, we know that plants have feelings. And so sometimes people make fun of the tree huggers, but actually trees benefit from that act of love. And it's certainly better than carving initials into the tree on the bark of the tree. So another way to explain the neo-humanism is that it also extends down to the tiny microorganisms whose constant activity in the soil enrich the soil. And when the soil is rich, the plants on which they grow are full of nutrients, and that is very good for our own health. And so that's why more and more people are turning to the organic food, which is a healthier alternative for themselves and also for our planet, as opposed to non-organic food. Vegetarianism and veganism are practical offshoots of the philosophy of neo-humanism. And out of respect for all of life, we try to eat lower on the food chain. And because today, the way in which animals are cruelly treated in factory farms, some people have turned even to veganism, and they exclude all dairy products from their diet, of course, which includes no meat and fish, eggs. So let us understand that, and the neo-humanism concept, there are birds, when they chirp, the cows, they moo, the wolves, they howl, and dogs bark. We don't know their language, but they're communicating with each other. And nobody has given us the right to prematurely end the life of another living being, because just as we want to live, animals also want to live. And so we should have that respect for the right of life for all beings. Now, there are certain things that, some people say, well, what about if we allow animals and plants to just grow without any hindrance? Won't they overpopulate the earth? And the answer is no. Nature has a way of limiting the population of each species She's been doing it for billions of years. It's only when we interrupt that process that the negative side effects, as we're seeing now, manifest on the earth. But we have to overcome certain limiting sentiments in ourselves in order to become neo-humanists. You know, human beings are primarily psycho-sentimental beings. And so we respond more to sentiment than logic necessarily. So what are the limiting sentiments that prevent us from being neo-humanists? Some people are only confined to the feeling and sentiment of their families, not beyond. Some people are confined to the love of their physical location, that they're bound by a geo sentiment, which is related to the land, maybe their state, their province, their country, and so on. There's a larger sentiment, which includes more people. It's called socio-sentiment. And these type of people are attached to their group. They have a sentiment for their group and not beyond, maybe their race, their language, their culture. And so in this way, it's a limiting sentiment. And beyond that is the human sentiment, that humans identify with themselves with all human beings. It's very broad. It's still not broad enough because it doesn't include plants and animals. So neo-humanism includes all, even inanimate beings, in its social outlook. And it is this outlook, this view, which will help us as humans in the 21st century and beyond to care for all the living beings that live in our planet. So let's try to do more meditation and try to feel that we are manifestations of that universal consciousness, which is in everything. And let us share that cosmic love that we have with all the beings on the planet and create a beautiful paradise here on Earth. Thank you. Namaskar.